we do that in my family, because tomorrow's not, God's the only one that knows.
Oh, guys,
None of
that
us
right
know.
there is a nugget. Is God is the only one that knows the expiration dates, and to express yourself in the form of love as a foundation,
Absolutely.
I think is a way that we could say we can take stress, anxiety of the world and say, you know what? Above all else, love is supreme. Well, guys, great morning, great day, wherever you're tuning in. We're so excited that you are on the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show. I am so thrilled to be on the show with you guys, to teach you, to help you see that you are worth it, that your life counts. And I brought a special guest on the show that has made a difference in this country, that has made a difference in his family, that has made a difference in life, and is continuing to make an impact, giving people hope. And I'm just excited to introduce him to you. And his name is Scotti Fraser.
It's an absolute honor to be here with you, Dr.
Oh,
Chapa. Thank you so very much.
Well, no, I'm truly blessed, my friend. I wanted to bring you on the show because we have been doing a series on stress and anxiety, and how stress impacts our lives, and how we can navigate the stress pitfalls of the time. And sometimes we get in a place where we get in a really dark place,
Right.
and it's hard to come out. And people that have never gone into those places themselves and fought through what it is like to be stuck in a rut, I thought it would be a powerful testimony of how you have been tested in the fire,
Right.
if you will, and how you have come out of so many different obstacles to be where you are today, and maybe share just real life, practice of being on the mountaintop, being in the valley. And so just, you are Scotti Fraser, and who you have are today, and that I know started somewhere. So tell us a little bit about just your background story and where you want to begin.
Well, I started out west, and kid that grew up in the shadow of a very powerful military dad and a military family, and it always inspired me through my life to want to serve my country. And in concert with that, I'd always loved music, and I was kind of a traveling young musician in a band and that kind of thing through my teenage years in California, and had toured the West Coast a number of times before I was even 21 years old. But something, pulled on me that once I got into my 20s, it was time to hang up the guitar for a little while and to grab the M16, if you will. And I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, and specifically chose the infantry. I've always been a challenge-oriented kind of guy, and I wanted a big challenge, and made it into the Marine Corps, and had a very nice career of a decade serving this country as an infantry squad leader with some time in combat.
So whenever you started that journey, you probably went into the military with this high hopes of what? What was when you say you had this call to serve the country, what were you hoping to achieve?
On the one hand, I really wanted a big challenge. I wanted to challenge myself to go through physical and mental and emotional challenges, and reach that mountaintop. Those were my goals.
Was there anything before that sparked such a desire? Because how old were you at this point?
When I enlisted, I was in my early 20s, so about 23. I was basically the old man of the boot camp
Yeah,
platoon.
I thought you
Yeah,
said. So,
yeah.
At 23, you've already lived a little bit, so that 18 to 21 zone is kind of behind us. Frontal lobe starts to develop at
Right,
25.
right.
So you're approaching that maturity state. And so, was there anything that when you say challenge, what did you think that they could offer you in the form of mental challenge?
I had read extensively on the military and had a family member that was in the Marine Corps, and I just knew that they were the toughest bunch. They were the toughest bunch, and I wanted that challenge to see if I could do it. I wanted to join the military, but I just wasn't the type of guy that wanted comfort and that kind of thing. I wanted to see if I could be like these, you know, in great regard, like the Marines that rose the flag on Iwo Jima, the Marines that held Quezon in Vietnam. These were the guys that were my rock stars.
Come on.
These were the guys that were my rock stars, and I wanted to see if I could compete at that level. And I felt personally that the Marine Corps would be the biggest challenge at that.
So whenever you where did you on your quest into the process did you hit a point where you realized, wow, I'm a competitor at this level?
Really on the day that I graduated boot camp in San Diego, when I stood on that parade deck in my uniform, and my mom was in the stands, and as tough as us Marines think we are, all of us are pushing tears on that day we graduate. So it really resonated with me that I've arrived, and
Wow.
it's time to make my mark.
Okay. So at this point now you made it. You're a competitor. Now it's time to make a mark. So where did life take you at that point?
Well, there was many years of training and extensive training and some travel. Got to go to places like, Guantanamo, Cuba, and nice places like Hawaii and things like that. But when 9/11 happened, and I was called up to go to the Middle East, and for for a Marine, I'm sure it's this way for all branches, but I can speak for the Marines. For the Marines, it's kind of like a football player. Like, you love the game, you love doing it, but it's not about the training. You want to go to the Super Bowl. So I wanted the ultimate challenge, and to serve my country and to do what I was called to do, and have that kind of challenge, the ultimate challenge of combat.
And so in all of that, when you got that phone call, at this point, you you hadn't had any major stresses like you're about to start seeing.
Well, yes, to some regard, yes, but also in the Marine Corps, the training is so intensive. In some ways, I had more fear of my drill instructors in boot camp than I had of the enemy.
Really?
So it's
Okay.
just a
So they
tough.
do
It's a
a fantastic job of preparing you for such crazy activities.
The Marine Corps is centered around your life being simulated in combat, so you're always prepared for that. That is the only reason the Marine Corps exists, is to fight America's wars and win battles.
So whenever you went over to the Super Bowl,
Yep.
Middle East, um, you get there, you're like, yes, I'm there, I've made it, I've arrived. Uh, at what point did you realize that this is like real deal and this isn't like necessarily the glory days of winning a Super Bowl championship?
Right. Well, you know, uh, you when we join the military, we're chasing that glory to some extent, and war is not glorious. It's not like the movies. And I was in the invasion, or we call it the push, in 2003, and we crossed in on what we call D-Day, Day One. My infantry unit went in, and a couple days later, we hit the first major firefight engagement of the Iraq War, and it was in a town called Nasiriyah. And we rolled into that town. The vehicle stopped in the middle, major ambush, and everything just erupted in fire and gunfire. And in that moment, I experienced the realness of the fragility of life. I saw it all around me. And it was like that on many occasions for the rest of my year in Iraq. And I was exposed to an extensive amount of death and human suffering. and it changed me forever.
So now, how did it change you? I mean,
Um,
obviously you said it. When you recognize the fragility of life, like my dad died in my arms of a heart attack. So like at that moment, I had a very real,
right,
wow, wow, this is life in life leaving. You're watching buddies
right,
uh, get shot, killed. You're watching them suffer and die. You're seeing them pulled off of, the line, so to speak. Um, and I think it's a little different, being in the peace of somebody that loves you as
right.
opposed to somebody hunting you.
Well, it really taught me that that every breath is a gift. Tomorrow is not given. And those experiences in combat, we have a thing in my house that whenever we walk out the door, um, I kind of think in my head, whenever I leave my kids or my wife and I walk out the door, like, I want to say something like, if I don't see you again, if I don't make it back through that door, I want you to know that I love you. And we always, when we hang up the phone, when we go our separate ways in our day, or when we leave the house, we always say, I love you. And I like to do that because there's no guarantee that you're coming back through that door.
So even whenever you're upset, even when you're frustrated with a member of your family or with life in general,
Absolutely.
you gotta see past it and express love and
Right.
gratitude. And it's interesting, the Bible talks about love is the greatest of gifts. Faith, hope, and love. Love is
Right.
the greatest. And so I think that there is something really powerful in that. When did you come to realize that?
Well, there's a verse in John that I really like that is, on that note, to piggyback on that note. And it says, there is no greater love than this, that a man would lay down his life for his friends. And Jesus is talking about when he's going to the cross. For a soldier or a Marine or a sailor or an airman, that is about that blank check that you write to the United States of America for up to or the amount of your life. So yeah, when we leave the house, even if me and my wife are arguing and have disagreements, we put that on hold. And before I lock that door and walk out the door, I say, I love you. And we do that in my family because tomorrow's not, God's the only one that
That
knows,
knows.
that knows.
Oh, guys,
None of
that
us
right there
know.
is a nugget. Is God is the only one that knows the expiration dates, and to express yourself in the form of love as a foundation, I
Absolutely.
think is a way that we could say we can take stress, anxiety of the world and say, you know what? Above all else, love is supreme.
There's a lot of people that had plans for today that didn't wake up this morning. And I think about that when I go to bed, how fleeting life is. I saw it in combat. You're alive 1 second and you're gone the next second.
Mm.
So every breath is a gift. Be thankful for every little thing. They say that when people are on their deathbed, uh, they don't say, bring me my trophies so I can look at them one last time. They say, bring me my family, bring me the ones that I love so I can say I love them one last time.
Come on, man. Oh, wow.
And those are feelings that grew out of my experiences in frontline, visceral, graphic combat in the Marine Corps.
So obviously you had some lonely time when you were in combat. How did you deal with those lonely moments of time where you were with yourself and that grimacing feeling of death is lurking in the shadows?
Right. Well, as we rolled into Nasiriyah and as the hornet's nest erupted and bullets were flying all around me, um, people were losing their lives, and it was intense combat. I can tell you one thing is that there is no rational uh, explanation why I'm sitting here with you and still alive, other than my faith in God or God's decision to keep me here for a greater purpose.
I like that.
But it was when we rolled into Nasiriyah, and I call it the drunkard's prayer, and it's kind of like when someone's drunk and they're sick and that kind of thing, they say, God, if you make the room stop spinning, if you make it stop, I promise I'll never do it again,
The drunkard's
that
prayer.
kind of thing. But but I just said this short prayer, and I just said, God, if you help me get through this, if you help me live through this, I will go home. I will marry my girlfriend, who's now my wife of 20 years.
Praise God.
I
That's
will
good.
buy a quiet piece of land, and I will never complain about anything again. I have, God kept his end of the bargain, and I kept my end of the bargain, except for the last thing, because I still complain.
That means you're human. Sanctification continues, right? Okay, so now you're back from military days, and when you got back, you had some health challenges.
I had
And
huge health challenges.
yeah, tell us a little bit about like kind of, all of the because all of this stuff, I mean, obviously we could talk for hours, but I mean, you have a life, a career in the military, you get out of the military and you've seen some stuff, experienced some stuff, and now you're experiencing viscerally in your own self, mentally, emotionally, physically. What was going on?
I came home with survivor's guilt. Why did I make it out when so many other guys and gals didn't? So that was really challenging. I had some neurological damage that I had to work through, and some very, very heavy emotional damage from everything I'd experienced and seen and how it affected me. I was actually to an extent where, because of a anxiety tic disorder that I had with me when I left service, that I basically had to relearn how to speak again. It's a miracle that now I'm a touring singer doing music in
Which
Texas.
is we're gonna get to that, and that's one of the things that I wonder, like when you were going. When did you realize you had this disorder, and what did that make you feel like inside in order to have to kind of start all over again when you got back?
It was really defeating. Um, I was the VA had you know trying to do their portion of helping me. There was a lot of medications, a lot of opiates and heavy medications that sedated me. Um, and I would sleep the most of the day and missed a lot of the years of my kids' upbringing. And it was very defeating that, it was tough to go into a restaurant with a yelping tic disorder. The fear and the anxiety. I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't shop. I
Mm.
couldn't do things like that.
A yelping tic disorder.
Yes.
So, and I just want you, because I'm trying to help people understand that under stress, things happen.
Right.
And that's what you're overcoming at this point. And what is a yelping tick disorder? What does that look like for these guys? Kind of
Um,
explain.
Well, without being too animated, I would bark, I would scream, I would release anxiety and stress from doing that, like a Tourette's.
Uh huh.
Um, Head twitching, arm moving,
Facial gesturing.
facial gestures, sticking out of the tongue all
So
the
when did
time.
all that
It was like
start? Did it start when you got back?
it started in service, yeah, yeah, and it got really really bad when I got back.
So obviously the drugs didn't help. You had to go on a journey to get help, and figure out how to overcome these things. That deflated moment. I'm a military man. I'm a Marine. I've fought the fights of fights. I'm the best of the best, and now you're can't even go out to dinner with your family in a
Right,
loud restaurant. So
right.
how did that like? What did that do to your Marine?
That it was really defeating. Once I was an infantry squad leader, a sergeant in charge of the lives of my men, and now I'm just the broken shell of a man. And getting closer with my faith, I just felt, I just felt it, and I know it in my heart that God just reached down and just said, "I've got bigger plans for you." I never would have thought in those moments 15 years ago when I was barking and sleeping most of the day on medications and couldn't go places and barely could speak, I never thought that I would be singing and bringing hope to people through music. But I really feel, and I just really feel that God had other plans. And completely honest, I was given your name of your clinic, and I came to see you, and you offered hope to me as a Christian and as a medical person. You offered hope to
Praise God,
me.
dude.
Yeah, no, I give you a lot of credit. You offered hope to me in a way that I had not experienced before, and your treatment of me was just just such a big part of where I'm at today. So I'm very, very grateful for you and for your staff.
Oh, brother, it. It's one of these things. One of my mentors that I dearly love. He always said, no matter what walks through that door, you stand in the gap with them. You get in the car with them. You get in the boat with them. Whatever they want to ride in, and y'all get going. And it is mind-boggling to see how broken we can be as people
Right,
and have these manifestations of illness in our body in multitudes of ways. I mean,
right,
stress has its way and it comes out. It's like the path of least resistance. It's going to find a way out. And but we get in the game and we start working and we start changing how the body looks at biochemistry. And I remember were exposed to a lot of toxins as well in the
absolutely.
military. I think that contributed. I mean, and you had to deal with a lot of not just the gunfire, but just the other some of the other aftermath stuff. And we had to do a lot of cleansing,
Right.
and
I
and
remember that.
and and I find it's very ex- interesting to see that even in that broken shell of a man that you were, wasn't done. Even though you had, somebody come alongside and offer you hope and help in the flesh, if you will, to kind of press flesh with, what was it like going through the journey of that? Like, because that's not always easy too. Like when you're at the bottom, still having massive ticks, and then somebody to tell you, hey, you can do this. Because then, I mean, at that point, you got nutritional education outside, through schooling, your
Hmm.
history
Hmm.
lessons, and the things that you were studying in school. You somehow got your butt back in school, I think, or were
Right,
finishing a degree
right.
plan, and one step. How how did you? What did it feel like to just be pulling yourself through? And when did the crawl become a walk and a walk become a run?
Very much so. Uh, that tenaciousness the Marine Corps taught me. But even deeper than that, that was just the vehicle that God was putting tenaciousness in me. I think God gives that to all of us in His time. And for me, the the option was not being around for my kids, and I say that in a way that became, that at one point that was a viable option is not, was maybe taking my own life.
You felt that before.
I felt that. Yeah, I had some suicidal ideation, to be totally transparent. But
Which I think is real. Like, guys, I mean, this is like people, we don't know who we're running with feels these
right,
things.
right, and that's not just privy to people who served in the military. There's a lot of people that have
Sure.
anxiety, depression in this world we live in, moving so fast and so aggressive. My heart goes out to all people suffering hardships wherever that walk has come from. But I think God put it on my heart, and I woke up one morning and I said, surrender is not an option.
Amen.
And I started taking some classes, learning about nutrition. Came to see you, learned so much from you, and got away from some of the exacerbating foods and the unhealthy things.
I
And
like that. Exacerbating foods. I call those the crap foods, the
right,
excessive amounts of
I
carbs
call it poison.
or poison, refined sugars, artificial
Right,
ingredients, and processed nature of
right,
things for sure will wreck us. Like it really is getting back to the basics of health and nutrition. And then, so I mean, because you were running, I mean, you got into like running, you got
right.
into exercise. I mean, you did some vegetarian work for a little bit. You did detox with
Right.
us, of course. I mean, all of those things were what it took to get you back here. And
Right.
I call that spiritually the sanctification process. Like God, didn't just fix you,
Right.
God developed you.
And that's so poignant that it was a hard road, and I'm still growing. I'm not the guy that's got all the answers. I'm the guy on the stage with the microphone now trying to bring some hope and positivity, but I'm broken just like everybody else. I'm on that journey. But I see now that God let me go through the hardship of combat, of death and carnage and human suffering. God let me go through the hardship of coming back with a tick and having to learn to speak again, with the anxiety problems, with the depression, with the PTSD. He's been by my side the whole time through it. But he let me go through that because just like childbirth, right? Nothing of true great value comes without the battle. And the battle and the struggle strengthens us and makes us who we are.
Woo wee. That is worth its weight in gold. That's worth its weight in gold. And I think sometimes we don't want to get in the fire.
Right.
It's painful.
Well,
And
we need to remember, we're not always alone in that fire.
yeah, remember the
And,
fourth man, Jesus, he was there.
and sometimes we don't see it till we get out of that furnace.
Yeah. And refined. We have a different
Right.
perspective on things. We survived the
Right.
fire. We've survived the combat. We survived the redevelopment, the crawling, going from running pinnacle athletics down to
Right.
crawling neurologically back through like life and going through the guilts of what you saw.
Well, I try to bring hope and empowerment and positiveness through my music to my audiences.
So tell us a little bit about that. Okay, so at this point now we've full circle. You served, you suffered, and now this birth of music. It's now time to put the M16 back down and take the
Right.
guitar off the wall
Right.
and do something with it. So tell us about how that evolved.
So I like to say that I'm finding my way home one song at a time, you know,
Fighting or finding?
finding my way
All
home
right,
or
all right.
singing my way home
Singing my way home.
one
Wow.
song at a time.
The brother David in the Bible, the Psalms, he
Yep.
always would sing
Yep.
with a lyre and a harp, right?
And and one of the biggest book in the Bible, and for me, I believe God put it right smack in the middle of the Bible, is a book of songs called Psalms. And a lot of those were written by a combat veteran warrior who was also a musician named David.
Amen. Wow.
So
Wow, brother. So here we are. What did it feel like, to feel not just this hope, but now this hope turning into something tangible?
I would have these nightmares, and I still do. I have these nightmares 3 o'clock in the morning, and I now where I'm at now, I get up and I go into my home studio, and instead of grabbing the bottle, I grab the guitar,
Come on.
and um, and I write these songs about my story as a way of healing. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that doesn't feel music is part of their hope in their journey. There's always that song that got you through that tough time and that kind of thing. So I try and write songs like that to inspire other people to hope. You know, to try and get us all to heal. We all have some of that brokenness in us.
Well, I just feel something like kind of rising up inside me. I'm getting excited behind this
Yeah,
microphone.
yeah,
Going,
yeah.
oh my gosh,
And
where's this going?
at the end of the day, at the end of every one of my performances, wherever it is, um, there's always at least one person that comes up to me and tells me their story and says, "Hey, man, Scotty, that song, whichever one it is, resonated with me and gives me hope. That's my story." I like to say I write these songs, but they're all our songs, are all our story about going through hardship and standing strong and finding hope. And when people tell me at the end of my shows that a song, or they email me and a song on Spotify gave them hope, that's that's what makes it all worth it.
So now you're touring,
That's right.
and y- like outside of just people coming up to you at the end of the show, how has that now become a sense of like, a therapy for you.
Well, I feel like I'm still in the fight, like a Marine sergeant, or a service person. I feel like I'm still in the fight, but now, like you said, I put down the M16 and picked up the guitar. Now the mission is the music, and I'm just driven in my heart to, like I said, I keep saying, bring hope and empowerment to people struggling through hardships, our veteran community or our civilian community. And I really feel like I'm still in the fight. I'm still, the
Mm.
mission continues.
So I think that's a thing that I think a lot of people that get lost in PTSD, depression, anxiety, anger, resentment, shame, whatever it is, they get lost in the fact that they think that they're lonely, only ones going
Right,
through it.
right,
They lose sight of the bigger picture, the mission of who they get to become
right,
through those challenges and hard times, and then they don't grip hold of the lifelines that God is providing for them continually.
right. And it's I can speak on the veterans' perspective on that note that a lot of veterans when they get out of military, they feel they don't a lot, not all, but a lot feel that they have no purpose, or the purpose has changed or lessened. And for me, it's the songs that I write and record and tour to sing. Everything can be found on Spotify and all that good. You know,
Yeah, tell us what's your channels and stuff.
it's Scotti Fraser, and if you pop it up on the screen, Scotti with an I, Fraser with an S. And my album and my recent singles are on all streaming platforms worldwide and YouTube, and can all
We'll
be
make
found there, or scottyfraser.com. You can find all the content there
And
too.
so if you'll go and do shows at different charity events and or
Yes, we do a
at
lot of fundraisers.
fundraiser shows, and then of course you also do paid gigs, I imagine, as well.
Yeah, we do a mix of everything, a mix
That's
of
good.
everything. So really, kind of wherever there's need, we're playing. We'll play in some of the music clubs and the venues, and then last weekend I did a veterans festival.
When
Uh,
you go into a club that isn't necessarily, I mean, yes, there's going to be veterans there, but they might not know what's walking on that stage. What is their and what is the people's in that kind of venue? I guess the civilian perspective. What do
right.
they see? You think
Well, there's a good response. I try and write music that's not just veteran specific.
that's good?
It's all about people. Uh,
It's
up,
our music, like you said.
it's all our story, our music. It's about uplifting people that are battling through hardships wherever that journey comes from. And I think all of us in whatever room or festival I'm playing all have some hardships. You know, on that respect, um, everyone you meet, most everyone you meet, uh, we're so similar. We've all experienced victories. We've all experienced failures. We've all experienced love and anger. Um, Most everyone you meet, someone cried tears of joy when they were born. And most everyone you meet, someone will cry tears of sadness when they're gone. We have so much that makes us unite, and we're all in this battle together. This life is a battle. This is my final battle that I'm fighting, and I hope these songs can fight it for all of us.
Man, guys, y'all just heard it. That right there will preach all day long. I am truly blessed to just listen to him share the connection that we all have and how much we all need to unite and find within ourselves a call, a mission that has been birthed inside of each one of us to do more than we're doing and to realize that God is there for us and that He is providing resources to us. And we have to grip it, develop it. Passion is developed, the gift is given. But if we can dig within ourselves to develop this type of tenacity, you say, and remember those hard times and remember those mountaintop moments.
Right.
You have a voice, you have a talent, you have a gift, you are worth it. And although the feeling of stress and anxiety, the feeling of death and the fragility of life, the hopelessness, the sadness that it offers, there's the exact opposite that God offers through Christ. And I think that we can come together and say, guys, let's unite. Let's
Right.
get healthy. Let's think differently.
Right.
Let's embrace, the hardship and say, what can I learn from this in order to become everything that God's called us to be? And like you said, this our last mission. Let's go and fight the good fight of faith,
Right.
and let's press onward, upward, goodward, and Godward, and be a blessing to those around us, because we all need a little bit of hope. Like, I have been like sincerely moved several times in just little talks of questions where I feel like you kind of painted this picture where I'm like, I'm with you and there's bullets flying and I don't know what to do.
Right.
There's depths of what it might be like in a restaurant and seeing that awkward person at that booth doing weird things, and you want to look but you don't know how to look, but you
Right.
shouldn't look because it's not appropriate to look, and it's your battle, and then to see you're as normal as I am.
Right. If all I can explain to the viewers is, if God can take someone who didn't deserve the love and help, that there's nothing I could do to earn that. But if he could take me from the depths that I've been at and start lifting me up, you know,
What could he do for everybody else?
for everybody else. So, God is a miracle worker, and
The waymaker, they say.
the waymaker, and if he can raise people from the dead, then he can help the rest of us with depression and anxiety and bad health and disease. So,
Well, guys, I want to say thank you to Scotti Fraser. Please look him up on all the major platforms. He is there. And when you get an opportunity to hear him sing, when you get to see it live, it's completely a unique experience because, now that you've met him, his music is going to sound all so different. So if you think you've heard it before, go back and listen again. And now you're going to be touched in yet a different way. So I just again want to say thank you, sir.
thank you
I
so
salute
much.
you. I appreciate your
Thank you.
service to this country and to your family and to your children, to your wife, and to God Almighty, for being a voice to tell people, hey, keep going, keep pressing on.
Right. One foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. My song says, "Never surrender on this life. Never surrender. Never quit." As long as you've got a breath, you've got a fight in you.
There you go, folks. Y'all be strong, be blessed, surrender. You got a fight in you. Go get them. And we'll see you next time on the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show. See you later.